One more video. I think this is the last one today. I thought I was done. Have you ever heard the expression, it's not worth a hill of beans? Well, we thought we'd try that when we were gardening 20 years ago. And we planted a hill of beans and we planted a lot of other things in unconventional ways. I apologize for the video that's high density gardening. I don't know what I was plugged into that day. That that was not a good video. 102 hits, I think, on it. So I'm hoping this one will make up for it. It really was not clear enough. We planted things in very unconventional ways. So we did plant a hill of beans. So we took a area that was about, a circle that was about 3.5 feet across, I would say. And we just planted green bean seeds in that whole big circle. And unfortunately, they were Italian green beans, which were kind of a flat potted green bean that we weren't real fond of. We ate them, but we weren't real fond of them. So I want to make my point because I go back and check videos now and then to see, I kind of forget what's in them pretty quickly. And so I check them to see the content, and I was not happy with that one. I'm really not 100% thrilled with any of them, but some I'm more satisfied with than others. So let's just review that a little bit. Let's go back to the hill of beans. I totally ignore directions for planting in a garden because I'm a penny pincher and I don't like to waste anything. And if you plant one row of carrots down your garden and the row is this wide and you've got 1 or 2 or 3 carrots, and then you go through and thin them, oh my gosh, what a waste. That's a terrible waste. So I apologize for that video. I did not like it. So at any rate, because I'm greedy. I'm just really a greedy human being. I want the most of anything I can get my hands on. So I would make the carrot rows wide enough so that you might get 7 or 8 carrots side by side by side in the row, like about maybe this wide. What I'm trying to say, is the row itself is from my right hand to the left hand, and 1 carrot was going to fit between the thumb and the finger. So you've got a row of carrots that are 7 or 8 or 10 carrots wide, whatever. And and then maybe the row will go 20 feet, but it's this wide and 20 feet long. So I want you to picture that. I want you to picture a row of carrots that's shoulder to shoulder. The carrots are 7, 8, 10 carrots wide. And then let's say I'm going to get this all screwed up. You got the carrots planted like so, like I've got pictured sort of here. And then you leave enough space so that there's a little bit of soil between those and the next row of 7 or 8. And that goes 20 feet long, or however long your row is. Same concept with green beans, only the green beans you're going to want each seed. Okay, here's your width of your row, but you're going to want each seed about maybe 2 inches apart. So you've got 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 green bean plants, shoulder to shoulder to shoulder, side by side. So you've got like 6 rows of green beans, 4, 5, 6 rows of green beans planted together, shoulder to shoulder, 20 feet long, like so. I don't know if that makes any sense to you. My husband would go crazy if he saw me do that. We don't speak logistics very well to each other. So the idea is it's like taking 8 rows of green beans that are 1 plant each and cramming them in side by side together, and then you leave enough room to walk between that and your next row, whatever you're going to plant. So you might have carrots in a row, 8 plants wide, and then enough room to walk. And I should put this on a piece of paper. And then the next row over would be carrots or green beans or beets or whatever, and then enough room to walk. And so you're cramming in several rows of the way they used to plant, or I mentioned people still do, 1 plant wide all the way down. You're cramming in 4, 5, 6 rows together in just a little bit more space than it took to grow 1 row. So now that I have you completely confused, we planted pretty much everything that way. Tomato plants, you have to give them a little bit of room to spread, but we might plant the tomato plants 18 inches apart. But you could put probably two plants shoulder to shoulder, 4 inches apart, 6 inches apart, and they should grow just fine. We had tomato plants that were up over our heads a couple of years, taller than the corn stalks. Never were very successful at growing corn. We grew a lot of pumpkins, very successful at that. We had 1 year, great year with watermelon. But I think the one thing that from having gardened, and we basically used no chemical pesticides or anything during that time period. I think the one thing that I learned was to ignore the directions. Um, we used composted manure. I think I talked more about this in the video about composted manure. We used composted manure in the garden right down in the hole with the tomato plants, and right in the when you make the little indentation for the seeds, we'd sprinkle it on the bottom or on the top, it doesn't matter, right in with the seeds, and we had real good results with that. We're in an area now that the soil really needs to be treated. We've hauled in dirt, topsoil years ago, and I think we finally came to the conclusion, we didn't test the soil, but I think we came to the conclusion that it needs a lime. And I wasn't in real good condition to be gardening, so we kind of scaled back on that big time. But we've got an opportunity. I can stay good enough, strong enough, long enough, and we'll have a garden, a bigger garden. So that's my correction to my high density gardening. We have to find a name for this video now. But if you have, I'm not a garden expert, but we had highly successful gardens. We grew all kinds of winter squash. We grew summer squashes, a breeze to grow. If you've never grown a garden and you like zucchini or the yellow squash, summer squash, I can't remember. One of them was a crookneck and the other one was not a crookneck. Anyway, yellow squash grow great. Zucchinis grow great. You can hardly, zucchini plants, you can't keep up with them, but it's great to grate the zucchini for zucchini bread. And the beets are easy to grow. The carrots are easy to grow. The green beans are easy to grow. Tomatoes are fairly easy to grow. We did potatoes. I'm trying to think what else we grew. We didn't eat I grew turnips just to see how that would go and threw them in vegetable soup, but that's not anything I'd probably do again. The winter squash, I think, are just a really smart thing to plant. That's all I'm going to say today, but I hope that was a better explanation than the first one. And those of you that made it through that first video, thanks. Bye.